World Championship. Look at the production value. Oh my Jesus. Konami went all out for this, yes? Does everyone agree on that? Final.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Now let me quickly explain the rules to you. It is teams of 3 players. Each player has 2 different decks. They could optionally use their second deck. They don't have to actually ever use it. It's just whenever they want to whip it out. Where previously they could have rules where they would force you to play multiple different decks and you have to actually win with them. That's not the case for this. And also there's a shared card system. There's only 3 cards they could choose that they have no limit on sharing. And the most obvious choices for that, if we just look at the most popular cards, would be Maxi, Ash, and Call by the Grave. Now, what about impermanence? That would be a 4th shared card, meaning that if one player is playing 2 impermanences, among your 5 other decks within your team, you can only play 1 other impermanence. Thus, within the event, players do not have to fear a card like impermanence as much. They don't have to fear Nibiru as much. You don't even have room to play Little Knight in every single deck list because you have 3 Little Knight for 6 decks. That's wild. Even Fool Loss is a card that is not going to be most likely shared among the top 3. I believe I read that only 1 team chose Fool Loss over Call by the Grave. So some decks that fall to Fool Loss would possibly be a good choice within the event, like Mermail. And then you have a card like Duel and Lockbird. You can only play 3 copies among your 6 different decks, and this keeps a deck like Mermail in check. So that would also lead to people wanting to play a deck like Mermail. Now, the scores at the bottom of the top are very important. It is best of 9 duels. The first to 5 points wins the entire World Championship. Pac will only play Luca once. If either player gets sacked, they don't get to play again, but when your duel finishes early, you now get to talk to your teammates and help coach them. Or as Pac said within his interview, even within his duel, if he feels like he's just gonna lose, he just starts helping out his teammates because they're not allowed to surrender. Are you ready? World Championship, Hajime. You're starting this off with a Crystron inclusion, searching our deck for Tristaros, as we're going to use our Droll and Lockbird. As I said earlier, Droll is very likely not among their main 3 shared cards, thus Luca's probably the only player with Droll on his team. Now, by starting off with the Tristaros on field, it ensures that you can much better play through hand traps, because if they activate anything, you're going to chain summon a monster from your deck and then synchro right away. Thus, we now follow up with a Foolish Burial. Usually the inclusion will be searching for the Sulfador, but if you already have access to Sulfador through another way, it is much better to get Tristaros on field first, then make the Sulfador play. Reborn Sulfador, pop in the inclusion, activate to send 2 cards from the deck to the graveyard. We're under Droll, so we cannot search the trap, so the better way to gain access to the trap is to get it into the graveyard, then add it back to our hand. We're going to Sulfaneer, discard Smiger to reborn, destroy a card we control. When Sulfaneer is destroyed, it activates to summon from the deck another Sulfador, as we now go into the Cyber Dragon Nova. Nova into the Infinity. This is now an Omni Negate, negate anything, as we have the inclusion, banishing to reborn Sulfaneer from Engrave, as we further synchro these 2 into the Crystron level 7 synchro, which will add back the trap Engrave to be able to pop a card on the field. We're going to now use the main choke point of this deck. If you have an Ash Blossom, you'd want to use it on this to pop a monster, summon 2, and then the Synchro activates to summon another body, but we have a negate, so if you save Dash for this, it's too late. With 3 bodies in the field alongside the Infinity, we're now making the F.A. Dawn Dragster. How many forms of disruption do we have? We have an Omni Negate. We have a Spell and Trap card Negate. We can turn the Tristaros into a quite popular play, is turning it into an Excel Synchron and then making a Baron to floor. The problem with that is it is reliant on the Dragster becoming level 5, thus the Dragster has to negate something. So if Luca is onto that play, you could deny a disruption by just never activating a Spell or Trap. And then we have the Crystron Trap, which could pop a face-up card in the field. Let's see what's good. Imperm is going to be onto the Dragster right away so that we could use other Spell and Trap cards within this turn. We do want to negate it, ensuring that we drop down to level 5. And now we have Allure of Darkness, draw 2, banish a Dark from our hand. Tristaros can only activate to summon from the deck to then Synchro in response to the opponent activating something. And that is exactly where we're going into the Excel Synchron, as I talked about earlier. This can, whenever you want within the main phase, go into that Baron to floor Omni Negate. We now have the White Rabbit activating when banished by the alert to summon itself back onto the field, as we're chaining the Excel Synchron to synchro away into our Baron de Floor Omni Negate. We still have Infinity Negate, Baron de Floor Negate, and we also have the the Crystron Cluster. Flipping up the cluster, but it looks like we're not using the effect to pop a card yet. It has an additional effect, and it's a great one. Crystron cards you control cannot be banished by your opponent's card effects, and that is a main power of Maliss, being able to banish cards on the field. Thus, this is now protected. It's obviously not protecting the Infinity or the Baron de Fleur, but itself, meaning that you could just really wait with this card for a more opportune moment to pop whenever you want. I think a good use of this would be a Splash Mage, especially if they're going second, saving it for even an access code talker, wipe that fool away. Let's see how we use it. White Rabbit set an MTP from the deck. To activate it on the turn it's set, we have to banish a monster we control to now search our deck for a Dormouse. White Rabbit's already been banished this turn, so it's not going to trigger again. We're going to Lure Darkness. We know there's a Dormouse in hand, so we're going to banish that after drawing 2. Reborn, back onto the field. We're cluster popping the Dormouse right away. Now, this could be quite risky because they still have their active normal summon open. Even though the banish effect of Dormouse has already happened, if they just normal summon Dormouse, we're done, and it's a 3 of. And they have activated 2 Allure of Darknesses, so I think the chance of having a Dormouse in their hand is decently high, as I would probably prefer to use Cluster on a card like Splash Mage or Access Code Talker. We are going to Underground, which cannot bridge our way into the Dormouse. We're going to grab the, use the effect of the Malice and Mirror to banish the Dormouse, and then grab a March Hare from the deck. The 3rd copy of Allure of Darkness. Luca is going all out. Banish from the hand the March Hare, add back to the hand after being banished here. We have not yet banished Chessie as the only card that would trigger on banish. This is what you want to save your Omni Negates for, usually at the last moment possible, or a board breaker. And what are we trying to do here? We're trying to break the board by take control of a monster. I don't think so. Negate with the Infinity. You still have Baron de Fleur. Metal Tronus. This is normally used against a Ryzeal deck to banish away the detonator. They can't chain to it, also negates it. But against other decks, it's just going to be a quick effect negate. We would have to summon a Machine, Light, or 2500 attack from the extra deck. So if we were to look at that real quick, what are cards that we could summon here? Let's type in Maliss and Light. Firewall Dragon. This would be summoned for the extra deck. It would be on the field, and it would negate the negate. So very good on, I guess we have to negate this, right? Baron de Fleur, we don't want a Firewall Dragon, even though it would be negated, but it's an extra body in the field that you could then further use for link summoning. Negate the Tronus. And with this negate, we're done. We don't have any more disruption. We're at 0. Infinity used. Baron de Fleur to protect the Infinity. Cluster used. So I think the only questionable thing here was the usage of... What'd I say? We took a gamble on cluster popping Dormouse after double Allure of Darkness when they had an active normal summon. While they didn't have a way to just banish a Dormouse from the deck, they could have just normal summoned it as they did. So that gamble did not pay off. The cluster was unfortunately no good. Chessie, Cat, Banish, which is our final Malice monster to banish and trigger to summon itself onto the field. We have Magnum Hut banishing away the Dragster from Engrave. Link Decoder is now here. This is going to now be going into the Heart's Cryptor. Cryptor is going to be able to non-target banish a card in the field. We're going to be going into an Access Code Talker, and this is when you would probably want to use the Cluster. Now, you could think the Heart's Cryptor could have banished this, though. It can't. This is a Crystron card. It cannot be banished. The best they could do if they're playing a Nightmare Phoenix is summon a Nightmare Phoenix, which they have to discard a card, and then you just pop the Nightmare Phoenix. They lose a Link 2, they lose a card from their hand, so that gamble on Dormouse really messed us up. Banish away the Heart's Cryptor to take out the Baron de Fleur, trigger the Cryptor, come forth back onto the field, and it doubles its attack. It's now at 5,600, over 10,000 attack in the battle phase. Non-target, banish away the Cyber Dragon Infinity, and just like that, lethal damage. Going second with Maliss winning. Now, according to the analytics, what were the chances of Maliss winning that? Maliss going second has a 33% win chance, where it's an 80% if they go first. So definitely at a disadvantage and was still able to sneak out the win. So let's give a point to the top there. Again, at 5 points is when the championship concludes. Just some follow-up commentary after that Maliss duel there is, while Maliss is the best deck of the event, that did not stop them from further loading up the deck with impermanences, which means other decks cannot play impermanence on your team. Also loading it up with Duel and Lockbird, which is absolutely insane. A deck all inherently having a massive advantage, and they just wanted to make sure that it had the highest possible win rate instead of spreading the love to the other decks that possibly need it more. So that's definitely a choice they made. We have Ice Ryzeal on normal summon, activating the Impulse to negate the effect to special summon from the deck. If we had a Trap Engrave, the Impulse would have destroyed the Ice Ryzeal. As we're going to follow up with the 7th Tachyon. Reveal from the extract to search our deck, Ash Blossom, negate. We're just stopping the very first play right away. And the reason for this is because Ryzeal has a new card that makes the deck quite toxic, and that card is the Star Ryzeal. Star Ryzeal ensures that you can't hold your disruptions for the Duo Drive, where normally in the TCG on release, you would just use Ash on this. But the Star Ryzeal gives us early access to the Ryzeal Cross, which would then protect any Xyz play. Thus, while it does not look good, you pretty much have to just use your disruption on the very first card activations of Ryzeal. And Ryzeal in total has about 12 one-card starters. They could very easily extend after these 2 disruptions, and let's see if we have it. 7th Ascension just searches for the Tachyon. It's not an actual play. Wow. We had at least, what, 10 other cards we could have extended with? Artifact Lancia in the draw phase. How do we know that we're playing against a Maliss deck? I'm not so sure until we see a Maliss card. This is ideally used in the draw phase. Otherwise, the Maliss player within the main phase could chain a March Hare to banish a card from the hand, getting multiple bodies onto the field. If you resolve a Lancia within their draw phase, they're going to be only having 1 body in the field. That is it. Just that. The Dormouse, it is a Maliss deck. In fact, Lancia has the effect of just skipping a Maliss player's turn. And this card is not going to be shared among all the different decks. So his Ryzeal deck is possibly the only one playing Lancia. So we're going to follow up with the 7 Tachyon, searching for our X Ryzeal. Now later, Ryzeal is going to receive an Xyz card that could destroy a back row card, which we would have sent to the grave right here. I think it's the Valum, as we're now going to follow up with the Sword Ryzeal, searching for our Ice. Could speed this up because it looks like we know exactly what's going to happen here. And before committing to a 5th summon, as the Ice was already here, we flipped this up, and now we're protected from potentially a card like Nibiru. We're going to flip up MTP, which only vanishes if we control a Maliss link. Otherwise, it just searches. Searching for a White Rabbit here. Almirage is obviously not doing anything. We're going to chain, activate the effect of March Hare, banish the White Rabbit from our hand, reborn it back on the field, set from the deck of GWC. Now, GWC will summon a monster on the field, which would lead you to believe that it's going to protect us from lethal damage, but it's only activatable if we banish a monster. We have to banish a monster to summon a monster, thus, it's no plus body. As we now go into the Duo Drive on our very 5th summon, thus a Nibiru is no good. Activate on summon, attach from Engrave. We're going to detach 2 Xyz materials, search our deck for a Plasma Hole and a Node Ryzeal. Node Ryzeal could send Plasma Hole to the graveyard to further Xyz within the battle phase, but instead, we're going to get rid of our Ash Blossom. Let's turn this into our Ryzeal Detonator. On summon, attach a monster from Engrave, as we do still send the Plasma Hole to the graveyard to summon our Utopic Ray Lancer. When it destroys a monster by battle, it can activate to attack again, as it also reduces all opposing monsters by 500 attack. Wipe away the White Rabbit, and this should still be lethal damage. Yes, 17, 18, 3K for game. And if not, we did have the Plasma Hole to further Xyz with our other bodies. It's 2-0 so far. Oh boy, 5 wins and it's over. Nash forgot to make a play. It's now turn 2. He 5 cards in hand, activated absolutely nothing. Okay. Ash Blossom, as I was saying, using the first disruption you have on the very first Ryzeal card you see is unfortunately most likely the best play. But then Enzo also has no follow-up. How is that possible? You could have literally had another Ice Ryzeal, 1 of 3 Sword, 2 X Ryzeal, a Bonfire, triple 7 tech. He skipped again? Nesh, for the first turn and the second turn, has done nothing. I don't understand. Draw end. Am I seeing this correctly? How is this possible? Normal summon a Fool Loss, which is an extender within Ryzeal into a Banshee. We're on summon number 2 here. I do want to count up for a potential Nibiru play because Ryzeal players do have a good and efficient way to play around it usually. Ash, negate the Banshee mate. We're going to special summon the Node Ryzeal, send Ash, Reborn, the Ice. We're on 4 summons here. This is the 5th. Now, this detaches on resolution, meaning that if you have a Ghost Ogre, a Nibiru, any way to make this leave the field after it activates, so if you're a Maliss player, a good way to disrupt this would be a non-target banish on its activation, it does not search. So you would wait for the activation and then wipe the field with Nibiru. This is it. Nesh has been saving it. Nesh just has nothing. He just has 2. He has Ash and Ash. Nesh, I tried to hype you up, man, and you blew it. Star Ryzeal from the deck to our hand here as we now detach off an Xyz for the Star, setting up a Plasma Hole. Not even playing the field spell here. I guess we just are going to now win after Nesh did nothing. Ash, and that is that. I think Nesh felt bad for the opposing team. They wanted to have a more exciting final and not go 3-0 within the first set, so they had to at least give them 1 game. It does make sense. Pack is going first. We're going to get hit with the Pirellia. This is definitely not a shared card, meaning only Mist is playing this card and is great in the Ryzeal matchup. We have Dark Blade activating to pop itself to summon for the deck a Memento Mace. Mace will pop itself, usually to be searching for the Memento Fusion. Because a Memento is destroyed, we can activate the Fusion and Fuse of the Graveyard. We're now chaining Fool Loss. We are in a tricky situation, or we would have been had we not fingered the Fool Loss. Negate the Fool. Fool Loss would have allowed them to draw per summon from the deck or extra deck, but at the moment, they're just going to be drawing if we summon from the hand. Now, what does that mean exactly against Memento? Let's look at that real quick. If we click on Memento here, what are summons from the hand? How could Pack play around this? Normally, what you summon from the hand will be your normal summon, your horse, and your Sleepy. That is a potential draw 3. And these are very important effects, so we would want to maybe find another way to circumvent the Pirellia by maybe reborning them from grave in some way. Let's see if we have those options. As we go into our Creation King, activating to send up to 3 cards in the deck and extra to the graveyard. Effect, Veiler to negate. This could be quite risky because we could chain a Bone Party. If we had the Fusion activatable, which we don't since we already used it, we could have also chained that. To dodge this Veiler, we do not have a 1 of 3 Bone Party to dodge the negate. Now, we're going to use the Memento Fusion Engrave to pop the Creation King to search our deck for that much-needed Bone Party on the activation of the Veiler. Now, the Creation King will be banishing to search our deck for the Memento Field Spell. This reborns a monster from a grave, also resets a spell and trap card during the end phase. Let's Bone Party, pop a card. Now, you would think it's a bad idea to put this on a higher chain link because then the field spell would not trigger. That is true if you had a monster on the field. You'd want this to resolve. This only triggers if a monster you control is destroyed, not a monster from your hand. Let's wipe away the anguish, summon the horse. Horse summons from the hand. We're under Pirellia, so we summoned it from the deck instead. Very good. We're already playing around that Pirellia. Horse pop itself, send from the deck. Gaddock adds back the Sleepy, then Sleepy summons from the hand, which would give them a draw. So if we instead, Memento Field Spell is targeting the horse to reborn another monster. Gaddock's going to reborn after being sent to the grave by a monster effect. Gaddock is probably not going to add it back, right? Again, playing around Pirellia. Artemis is now going into the Lina. Lina requires a light monster, thus we turn our dark into light. We can now reborn a light monster from the grave. Thank you for the effect Veiler. Now, a really good use of Lina against Maliss could be is if they are for some reason using Lancia against you in the draw phase, you could then steal their own Lancia, then use it on their turn. Celine Navida. This card could be very difficult to use correctly in Memento. It requires you to get a second fusion spell in graveyard because you banish the fusion spell. And because, what is that reason? Well, you need 3 spells on the field and or in the graveyard. We have the Memento Field Spell, we would have Bone Party, and then the second Memento Fusion. But I think we used another spell this turn. We did. Thanks to Call by the Grave, and only because Call by the Grave do we have the 3rd token to allow us to reborn a monster from the grave. 3rd counter, that is. Remove the 3 exactly, reborn, and then easy, Apollo USA. That's right, all these summons did not give us a summon restriction in any way whatsoever. Let's return 5 cards in grave back into the deck to reborn from the grave, our combined creation alongside our double monster negate. As we end the turn, the field spell is going to trigger to set the Bone Party into the back row. What are our forms of disruption? And we're hitting them with the Max C. If they were to Ash this, we of course would be able to negate. We have, in addition to the Max C, the ability of the Apollo to double monster negate. We did have to unfortunately banish away the Creation King, so the combined creation could not reborn it, but we do have Mace to take control of a monster. We have the Memento Fusion, which could go into the Creation King to pop multiple cards in the field. I'd say we have about 4 forms of disruption. Max C him up. Whoa! Battle phase evenly matched. This is not going to be a shared card, so I believe only Mist is possibly playing this, or they're splitting 3 copies among the different decks here. Banish every card except 1 card, and it's being banished face down. We're going to chain the Bone Party. If we pop the combined creation, we'll at least be in the graveyard to summon during the next turn, which that is exactly what we're doing. We're going to grab a Sleepy, which could summon during the opponent's turn. As we still have our double monster negate, we have to remember we're in main phase 2. Apollo, negate, the Sword Ryzeal. This was a normal summon Sword Ryzeal. This is not ideal. This gives us a lot of information on their hand not being as good after that evenly matched. Now, we are going to Sleepy, special summon, fuse into the Creation King, using the hand so that we have another body in the field to pop another card in the field. We have Gaddock also triggering when sent to the grave from the effect of the Creation King to reborn, to then add back the Anguish and Grave to our hand for a follow-up play. We have a triple pop play. Typhon immediately turns off the Creation King from being activatable, but we do have the Apollo being able to negate the Typhon. Now, Typhon is an alternative plan. It's not plan B, it's plan L. You generally lose when you summon this Typhon because you now cannot summon for the rest of the turn. We're going to activate to non-target, say goodbye to the Apollo USA, which we just allowed to happen. They have 2 cards set, and we couldn't activate the Creation King. We have the Horse activating to summon itself onto the field. We need to get rid of this Typhon so we can pop the back row Creation King. Pop a card we control, send a card from the deck to the grave. We're going to trigger the Sleepy, send a card from the deck to the grave. Akron is going to be triggering to reborn from engrave. We have the Dark Blade being sent from the deck to the graveyard to further fuel our combined creation, as we're doing exactly that. After the Akron gives us the ability for the Creation King and combined creation to attack directly for a perfect 8,000 damage, we reborn the combined creation, further going into a cross sheep. Now, this should stop combined creation from activating, and it does, but combined creation does not activate engrave, it just summons inherently, thus the Typhon does not stop it. We're going to use the Memento Fusion, pop the Akron, which will trigger the Akron to add back a banished or engraved card back to our hand, grab back that Memento Fusion, which is only activatable in the main phase as a quick effect. We have Anguish on summon, searching our deck. We have no fear for Nibiru here, obviously. They have no cards in hand. Sometimes a bluff could instead be in your hand as you're bluffing a Nibiru. Let's trigger the Cross Sheep, reborn a monster in grave, level 4. Lowers the Gaddock, further targets a card in grave to add back to our hand. Grab back the Akron here as the Cross Sheep wants to reborn back our Dark Blade, which could on-summon pop a back row card. Discard the Horse, wipe away the Plasma Hole, as we now go into Access Code Talker. We're going to not activate Access Code Talker because if we boost it up beyond 3,000, it then cannot activate to pop cards in the field because of the Typhon. We're going to use the plugin to reborn the Sword before the Access Code Talker wipes it away. Sword is just going to be searching for a follow-up. Follow-up into what, though? We have 10,000 damage in the field. Access the codes, banish away the Maiden, take out the Typhon. Again, banish from the grave, wipe out the Sword, 10,000 damage, and all monsters on the field, of course, can attack, which is now putting this at 2-2. The first to 5 wins the finale. Some highlights there, I would say, is we got Preliud, and we ensured with the importance of Sleepy and the Horse, we found different ways to summon it. We summoned the Horse on the deck, we summoned the Sleepy from the graveyard. Let's keep on going. Another important thing to highlight is having good finger discipline. You don't just finger the first thing you see. You gotta hold your finger for what's worth your finger, and we held it for the Fool Loss instead of the Parelia. Speaking of Parelia, we're going to Parelia in the draw phase. This card is everywhere, even though it's not a shared card among the decks. We have Dormouse on summon, of course, going to be allowing us to draw a card. If we look at Maliss, what are the cards that we're going to be triggering a draw for Parelia? Beyond the normal summon, it pretty much will just be March Hare and possibly a Bestial. So if we just hold on to the March Hare, quick effect to use it during the opponent's turn instead, we could circumvent the Parelia effect of drawing. We're going to Valor, negate the Dormouse. I do definitely agree with this negate. Negate the Dormouse. Dormouse is trying to banish a March Hare to add back to our hand here. We're going to link off the Dormouse into a link decoder. You generally play through a Valor if you already have the March Hare in hand or a Bestial, but we're under Parelia. And that's exactly what we have. We have March here banishing the Dormouse here, giving the second draw for Prelia. There should be no more draws for Prelia for the rest of this turn, as we now make a Red Ransom. Red Ransom will be chain link blocked by the Link Decoder, thus you cannot use Ash Blossom to negate its effect to search for the field spell. And then we have the perfect opportunity to go into an Apollo USA after we search for the Mouse in Underground. Apollo away, double monster negates. As we now activate the Mouse in Underground, banish from the deck. We didn't banish the deck. You normally banish a Maliss in Mirror. Maliss in Mirror could then play into an Ash Blossom, but we have an Apollo USA to negate the Ash. This is telling me very likely we probably have the Mirror already in our hand. Thus, we didn't banish it, because it triggers the effect of Red Ransom, but also gives us another monster in our hand. That other monster in our hand is normally going to be a White Rabbit, as we summon a Chessie to banish the White Rabbit to ensure that we have access to that. So now I'm fearing that maybe we're not going to have White Rabbit access. We banish the Chessie, so maybe we already have White Rabbit in hand. This makes sense. This is fine. If we have that situation with the Mirror and White Rabbit, let's do it. Chessie, banish. Ash, negate. Apollo, negate. The Ash, mate. No. Now, a reason to not use Apollo to negate Ash could be that we are afraid that Enzo is baiting, because the Apollo cannot be used more than once within the same chain. And what you could do is, if I Ash the Chessie, you activate the Apollo, I now chain Nibiru. And you may be thinking, well, at least he doesn't get to draw two, right? Well, you still draw two, because the Nibiru will actually stop the Apollo and then wipe up the entire field. Afraid of that blowout, especially we're on the World Championship stage. If whether Enzo intended to bluff this or not, we didn't hold the Ash for another turn. We're using it right here, right now, and it worked. Now, does he actually have Nibiru? I have no idea. We're not going to know now because the Apollo is being saved for it. We're going into a Splash Mage, activate, reborn the March Hare. And remember what I said about White Rabbit? Where's White Rabbit? We don't have access to White Rabbit. We have the Binder instead, which is going to summon, banish 3 cards from either player's graveyard. March Hare has not been banished yet, thus it's going to add back to the hand where it normally would be banished by the effect of Dormouse. We have White Binder set from the deck, our GWC. GWC, banish away the White Binder. This is a choice. The choice is to draw a card plus another body on the field. And what's the alternative? Well, now we don't have a GWC set. We didn't have access to the White Rabbit, so we're gonna have no trap in the back row. We are fully reliant on the March Hare in hand in order to trigger effects during the opponent's turn here. This could potentially be risky. This is another Ash choke point on the effect of White Binder trying to reborn back. So we do get that draw. We do get to make the Firewall Dragon, where otherwise we would have just had the White Binder and a set GWC. So you do want the White Binder in graveyard to be banished by the March Hare. So I do agree with this play. And I guess that back row card is maybe Maliss in the Mirror, since we didn't banish it from the deck, is what I'd be thinking. We do have the ability to double monster negate, return a monster in the field, or engrave back to the hand. With the March Hare, we are going to also be able to non-target banish a card in the field, and maybe Maliss in the Mirror. 4 to 5 disruptions is what I'm thinking. We'll just say 4 for now. Aggregator being sent to the graveyard. Ryzeal is going to chain link block the Aggregator so that you cannot negate the Aggregator with the Apollo. Let's use the Apollo to negate the Ryzeal. Ghost Ogre, similar to Nibiru, stops the Apollo from being able to negate. We're going to chain Firewall Dragon Mate, return the Ryzeal back to the hand. Now, normally after an Ryzeal, you summon from the hand a Sword Ryzeal, and that Sword Ryzeal wants to be special summoned. But we need a Ryzeal monster on the field or in the graveyard. Had we dumped a Duo Drive instead, we could still special summon the Sword, but we search for a node instead of Sword, which tells me we probably already have the Sword in hand. And because we have a Nyx's monster in the graveyard, we could special summon the node. So we do have this opportunity to summon the White Binder. If White Binder is summoned, it will banish the Aggregator from the graveyard, and then node Ryzeal now has to be normal summoned. And generally you want to reserve your normal summon for an Ice Ryzeal. Are we going to be banishing it before he summons potentially? No, he just normal summons an Ice Ryzeal instead of special summoning the node, and he does in fact have the Maliss in Mirror as I suspected, not banishing it from the deck. We are going to banish in the hand, the March Hare, negate the Ice Ryzeal. Now, banishing March Hare instead of the White Rabbit, which I suspected he possibly had a White Rabbit already in the hand to banish, as we didn't access the White Rabbit on turn 1 because the Chessie was negated. The White Rabbit would be setting up an MTP this turn. Now, by not banishing White Rabbit, if we had one in our hand, we could instead be relying on the effect of Red Ransom to banish a White Rabbit from the deck to give us access to the MTP to non-target banish here. Are we going to be prioritizing getting rid of the Ice Ryzeal before the Sword special summons? It looks like we are. Bro is filled to the brim with all these nonsense, non-techs, Ogre, Bell, what the hell? I can't believe this. Special summons the sword as we cannot deny the Ice Ryzeal. So it looks like if we did, in fact, have the White Rabbit, I guess, you know, we got blown out by the March Hare getting negated. That is just wild here. I cannot believe that. Enzo, holy Ghost Bell it up. Duo Drive on summon is going to be attachment of the graveyard if we have a Ryzeal to attach. We do not, so we're going to detach 2 materials. Otherwise, within the open game state, to search your deck for 2 cards. Special summon the node Ryzeal. Send a card from the hand or field to reborn a monster in grave. Nibiru! What? Now, was there pressure to Nibiru right here, right now? I think normally you'd do it right before they're able to negate with the field spell, but I think because there is not a detonator on the field and before they summon a detonator, we Nibiru the field because if a detonator is able to be properly summoned and is now in graveyard, we have other plays to reborn it from engrave through a card like Plugin. And if we just deny that right here, right now with Nibiru being summoned, let's go. Tribute off the field. As we now have the tokens, set a card into the back row. What could that back row even be? Did we search for a plasma hole? That back row is pretty much public knowledge of being nothing. We did add a plasma hole, which requires a Ryzeal Exceeds to even activate. Completely blown out with Nibiru when I thought Enzo was going to win this off of that clutch Ogre into Ghost Bell, stopping Apollo, stopping the March Hare, which stopping the March Hare stopped a full field of monsters with the ability to non-target banish a card in the field and also being able to banish multiple cards from either player's graveyard. But Nibiru is definitely the winner of this duel. As we're now, let's just resolve all this. This is just normal, regular, standard plays. We're just filling up the field here. We're going to set GWC into the back row. Dormouse banish from the deck. Dormouse also boosts up the field by plus 600. Access the codes. Boost. We're going to non-target wipe away a card in the field, taking out the Nibiru token. Luca's like, I know, that's Plasma Hole. I don't care to pop it. Not my issue. I'm just going in. I'm confident. Lethal damage as it's now 3-2. Gold Sark right away. What's important about Gold Sark versus the field spell is the field spell opens you up to getting impulsed. The Gold Sark is in the graveyard when the monster is triggering to summon, thus it plays around impulse in the mirror match of Maliss versus Maliss. But this can't be Maliss versus Maliss because another team member was already on Maliss. Thus, we're going to normal summon the Dormouse, banish from the deck our Chessie Cat, summon back onto the field. Chaos Hunter is here. Interesting. Chaos Hunter, once it hits the field, is going to ensure that only the opponent is not allowed to banish. Let me talk about how good or bad Chaos Hunter is after we resolve this chain. So before we're not able to banish, we're going to banish the White Rabbit from the hand with the March Hare. White Rabbit's going to summon. Also, by sending Diablo Star to the graveyard during the opponent's turn, it's going to trigger to send a card from the hand to the grave. The original Sinful during the next turn is going to be able to banish and search our deck for, I guess, a Snake Eye we're playing in this deck, right? Let's now White Rabbit summon. White Rabbit set into the back row as the Diablo Star sets a Wanted Seeker, right? We already have the original Sinful. It may set the Trap Silvera. No, we have the Wanted Seeker. Now let's talk about this. How good is Chaos Hunter? Chaos Hunter in Master Duel is uniquely very bad because for 2 reasons. In the OC... let me take a drink real quick. In the TCG, they had Cerberus to out the Chaos Hunter. And a way to play around Cerberus outing the Chaos Hunter is you would wait for them to use Splash Mage. Splash Mage will lock you into Cyberse monsters only once the effect resolves. So on the summon of what you reborn with Splash Mage, that's when you hit them with the Chaos Hunter, and then Cerberus is not a play. Now, they did play around that with Topologic Bomber, potentially. A lot of people were also doing that. Now, in Master Duel, why don't we also learn from the TCG? Just summon off of the effect of Splash Mage. Well, if you wait for Splash Mage, there's very likely an Apollo USA on the field. So for the reason of Apollo and Cerberus, Chaos Hunter sucks. And we very obviously could just summon a Cerberus right here, right now, if we are playing it. If we're at Worlds, we're of course going to want to be playing Cerberus, right? We don't want to be losing to a Chaos Hunter. A lot of people are playing Chaos Hunter. And it's also immensely questionable to be committing to the field with the Diablo Star and even filling up the graveyard for a follow-up play. Why? That's great, right? No, it's not, because Maliss on their turn 1 could just make an access code talk or pop your cards on the field that you're setting up with. And, well, the original Sinful Search, it won't, because what does Maliss always do? They summon a White Binder, which banishes 3 cards from either player's graveyard. They're just going to banish this. So the overcommitment with Diablo Star, setting up an original Sinful, very likely all going to be for nothing. And then Chaos Hunter is also going to just be easily outed. I think Nesh just pretty much already loses. That's it. His whole field is out. His hand is gone, overcommitted, and he should get blown out, possibly. I think if Joey plays this correctly. Not only is Cerberus now popping, it's also drawing a card. We get to discard and draw because we made the link decoder first. Oh boy. Discard, thank you for that option to get a free card off the top of the deck at the cost of discarding, obviously, as we now make a red ransom. Search in our deck for our Maliss and Underground, which we discarded for the Cerberus. As we now further go into the Apollo USA. See, if you waited with the Chaos Hunter, Apollo would just negate it. As we now Maliss and Underground, banish the Maliss and Mirror, banish the Ransom to then summon itself, and then also banish the Chessie Cat from the deck. We already banished the White Rabbit this turn, so that's not going to be the card that we want to add back to the hand. We have not yet banished the Dormouse, and we already banished the Chessie, so we banished Dormouse, come forth and summon. It is now time for Splash Mage. Splash Mage activate, Reborn Dormouse back on the field as we further go into the White Binder. This is where we should banish away the original Sinful. Say goodbye. Yep, there it is. By getting that in the graveyard was a huge mistake. And what was the alternative? Well, how about not summoning Diablo on their turn, getting rid of your original Sinful, and then for your own turn, where they're not able to White Binder on their very first turn, they could still respond with the White Binder if you were to follow up with the Diablo, but it forces them into that extension early. So in many cases, they're probably still screwed, but I just don't agree with this play whatsoever because of an early White Binder is always summoned. We now have Red Ransom being reborn with the effect of the GWC. White Rabbit is going to reborn from the banishment, also draw a card. Triple Tactics talent, look at that hand, return the Call by the Grave, back into the deck you go, as we now know he has Ascension in hand, ready for the next turn play, which the Apollo could just very simply negate. As we now have an access code talker, mate, what did I say on your first turn? Make an access code talker and wipe up your commitment. You gotta be thinking about this. Say goodbye to the Diablo Star, and thanks to Splash Mage being the non-dark, we get to pop 2 cards in the field, Wanted Seeker and Diablo Star gone. We have double monster negate, non-target banish. Let's see what is good. Senjin will be negated by Apollo. There's 2 cards that are unknown in the hand. There's Senjin plus 2 unknowns. What are those unknowns? Unknown number 1, Pressure Planet. We have an Ash, random Ash, negate. So it's Senjin plus something else. We already have Apollo pinning down the Senjin. Are you ready? Senjin, negate. With the Apollo made, if we had another monster affected chain to the Apollo activating, it would go through because Apollo cannot negate in the same chain again. And the second card, a Golem. Senjin searches Golem. Golem again, negated by Apollo. And this is a very good reason why Konami, if they have any balls whatsoever, will ban Apollo. Ban this card tonight, now, on the very next ban list. Do not freaking wait. What are you doing? This deck has an 80% win rate when going first in the World Championship. That is disgusting. That's essentially a first turn kill deck. What is there even really to say now? Let's just speed this up. All right, finish him. Why is it now surrendering? He can't. You're not allowed to, because his only valid play would be to surrender. So it looks like he is making a big mistake here by just sitting here, but he's not. Dormouse banish just to boost up the field. That's BM. He did not need that boost. He knew the 2 cards in the hand. He unnecessarily wasted time by boosting to make Nesh feel worse. It's now 3-3. Wow. I think historically, Duel Links has always been a blowout in the grand finale, no matter what they did. I don't know about this year. Maybe it was a closer back and forth, but I can at least say this is a back and forth. We could have very easily 5-0'd, and then the entire grand finale would have been over from there. Question mark, you don't understand what I said? Anguish on normal summon. We're going to be searching our deck for the Memento Horse. Horse activates, summon from the hand, into a Maxi Mate. Come on, Call by the Grave, Ash Blossom, Crossout Designate is limited to 1. Thus, it's pretty much impossible to be in Pack's hand here. It's a card that would not be shared among the multiple different decks. We have a Chain Bone Party instead of Ash or Call by the Grave, or we could still have Called by, we're just holding it. Ash negate the Bone Party, which would reduce the impact of Maxi as we could summon before it resolves. But this is resolving without us fingering. Pack does not have a finger to finger with. That is horrendous. Now, we're going to, of course, commit to the horse being summoned. It's not an option. We're going to send up to 2 cards in the deck to the graveyard. What are our options here under Maxi if we are playing a deck like Memento? Because a lot of decks, like, for example, Tearlament can make great plays under the effect of Maxi. I think that Maliss has great plays under the effect of Maxi. You could potentially give your opponent just 1 to 2 draws and still have a great field. But if we are Memento, we're going to ideally want early access to the Memento Fusion so that we could summon a Guardian Chimera during the opponent's turn. Even having the ability to Sleepy during the opponent's turn could be good. So having these 2 cards being saved for the opponent's turn could give us access to pop cards on the field and pop cards on the field. It's likely not worth it to commit into a combined creation, as that's going to have to, you know, be an additional draw for them. It is just at least 1+1 disruption, though, you could add to the field. Maybe this is worth it, but I can't imagine having enough cards in graveyard to even summon this unless we summon a bunch of times. Let's see. As we are already committing to Gaddock Reborning to add back the Sleepy. This does give us access to the Sleepy being added to the hand here, but is a draw 1. And, you know, maybe like Little Knight set Memento Fusion. And now Sleepy will only be summonable if a Memento card you control is destroyed or in your possession that is destroyed. So this actually also could be a situation. We are committing the Sleepy on our own turn, not waiting for the opponent, activating to fuse. Not into a Creation King. This is further setting up. You're under Max C. Why not just Creation King, dump, banish, grab the field spell? You could have sent the fusion spell with the Creation King, which could be reset back on the field, or you could just banish it to pop a card you control to then search your deck for a play, and then you'd have potentially, you could have Bone Party and the fusion plus the Creation King, and you would just be good from there, right? We're popping Sleepy, searching for the Horned Dragon and a combined creation. Sleepy will trigger to send from the deck to the graveyard a Memento Fusion, which the Creation King could have just sent to the grave itself. We're going to pop the Twin Dragon to search our deck, which could be another Memento Fusion, which we could just set. And Twin is further Reborning an Anguish. Are we trolling? 1 for 1? Under Max C? What is Pac doing? Does he know that he's under the... I don't think he knows what Max C is. He's a TCG player. He's never seen this card before. What? Summon Mace? Cross Sheep's effect is the summon from the grave. You're under Max C. What are you doing? 10 cards in hand. We're not setting the Memento Fusion. We're just fusing, which we could have fused into this, what, 3-4 draws ago. He's just taking he's pretending Maxi doesn't exist. Literally does not exist to him. He does not, I don't know, is he like sending a message or something? What? Why? These are close, it's 3-3. It's not like, hey, my team loses anyway, let me just take the Maxi challenge for fun. What? I'm losing track of how many draws Nesh is doing. Like, there's just no reason to even commentate what's going on. We're just, if we have an effective special, we're doing it. Summon, summon, summon. If I could do it, I'm summoning. This is such an optional effect right now. Why are we... He really is just going all out. It's not like he's gaining a... The general concept, if you get Maxi challenged, is you ideally, per draw they gain off Maxi, you gain 1 disruption. So the idea would be, if they have 17 cards in hand, that you would have, what, 11 disruption on the field in hand? No, we're like, per disruption we're giving them 4 cards. You draw 4, I gain 1 disruption. You draw 4, I gain a 2nd disruption. We even summon the Horned Dragon, combined creation. Wow, we just balls to the wall, really. I guess this could be an alternative strategy. I think that this strategy is good on the ladder. Why? Because on the ladder, someone with 21 cards in their hand, they're going to time out. This is going to be too complicated of a game state for them to play correctly. And we do have a lot of disruption here. We do have the Little Knight Chain banish. We could triple monster negate with the Apollo. We can combine creation, gain access to a mace to take control of a monster. We could Bone Party, pop the Horn to pop other 2 cards on the field. We could also, with the Memento Fusion, we could fuse into another form of disruption. This is about 7 disruptions. Book of Eclipse, flipping away the Horn and the combined creation. We're now going to Memento Fusion fuse into our Twin Dragon, not activating. At the end of the battle phase, we're getting evenly matched. I guess this means we can't lose this turn, but we're now banishing everything but 1 card. That massive commitment. They had 20 plus cards in their hand, and now we're just going to have a single card on the field. Holy moly. Bone Party Pop, which can add from the deck or special summon. Now, Sleepy can special summon after this all resolves to potentially make a play here, as we have the Twin on the follow-up chain, Reborn the Anguish. We're going to have Apollo, triple Monster Negate, plus the Sleepy into a Creation King. We have at least 4 forms of disruption. We did not Apollo negate the horse, which I think we're playing around triple tactics talent. We have not used a monster effect yet within the main phase, I believe. We summoned Twin within the main phase, but did not even activate its effect. Can we afford to not play around triple tactics talent, though? We didn't play around anything else with them drawing 21 freaking cards, and now we're just not negating the summon of a horse? I want to plus a body in the field. No, I will not negate. And you may be thinking, he doesn't want his attack to get lower. Well, there's no battle phase. And now we have an Anima eating the attack off Apollo, losing 1 negate there. This duel just makes no freaking sense. All right, we have to negate this, and now we have the Thrust activatable for the triple tactics talent. So that could have been a card we potentially want to play around, but we can't even play around it. You just have to YOLO. And boy, bro had Thrust, Talent, evenly matched. These are all board breaker cards, which under the effect of Max C, you greatly increase their chance to draw into all of them. They said that they play tested all night before the finals, so I'm really interested to know in how intimately does each player know each other's deck, or I don't know. I think that's also wild that 2 grand finalist teams play test all night before the finals. Has that ever happened in any other game? Have 2 League of Legends teams before the day of the finals scrimmage the night before? This is something. Okay. DK, why am I not saying much? Because my mind is just blown right now. We full max seed, draw 21 cards in hand. Like, this obviously, it's over for Pack. There's just no question about it. The only question is, will Nesh run out of time? Is this too complicated for Nesh? I don't know. Nesh could fall out of his chair, maybe. A disconnect could happen. There may be no rule in the guidelines of playing footsie with the opponent's wires and maybe, you know, unplug something here and there. Sleepy is going to summon after there's already an Apollo to negate. I mean, you know, why not knock off a negate? It does not destroy on the negate. Nesh has unlimited resources here to stop whatever Pack does. Pack summons Gaddock on summon, add back the Memento Fusion. Obviously, just say yes to literally everything. Negate anything. They activate, just negate. They activate, pop it, mate. Ends the turn, can't surrender. No respect for Max C. How is 1-for-1 even necessary? Just like, this is crazy. I would like to know, maybe Pack's like, wait, why does he have 21 cards in his hand? Huh? What? How? I don't understand. How did he get so many cards? He did not see that Max C happened. 4-1. Okay, 4-1. Sure, let's keep on going. Missing Enzo. We're going to start this off with a special summon X Ryzeal, sending the Duo Drive, Ash Blossom, negate the X Ryzeal. As I was saying, you have to pretty much throw your first form of disruption at the very first Ryzeal card because of how the deck is structured. Now, this card could play horribly into a Droll and Lockbird, which is why a lot of people don't like it, but Droll's not going to be a shared card, thus Mist very likely is not on Droll. Search for the 7 Tachyon, which searches again. Droll would stop you from searching. Let's grab from the deck an Ice Ryzeal, which will be our normal summon commitment. Let's also return a card back on top of the deck. Ice Ryzeal is going to ensure our deck is now shuffled. Whatever we return back is not going to be drawn. Star Ryzeal setting up a cross from the deck. And as soon as we exceed summon, we now can negate any monster effect from the hand. Duo Drive is going to attach the Duo from a grave. Now, this ensures we can activate the Duo Drive and also negate a monster effect since we have 3 materials. We're going to further commit into a Sword Ryzeal. Now, this is a scary scenario. By making a Duo Drive and not activating and then special summoning another monster, this telegraphs that they are potentially going to summon a Star Liege to make the Duo Drive untargetable. Generally, Ryzeal on their very first turn will have the ability to summon up to 3 Xyzes. So the first one being Duo, the second could be a Star Liege here. And what would you do? If you imperm early, right, you think that's a good play? It's actually not. This is why you also have to use imperm early, where otherwise you get blown out by the Star Liege, because because if we imperm the Duo Drive, we could use Node to send Duo to reborn a monster. Why would we get rid of it? To just make another one, because it's negated, right? And then with the new Duo Drive, we then activate that one. We're just in a bad spot. There's the Star Liege. There you go. Now cannot be targeted by imperm if you're holding on to it. Search for a Plasma Hole, searching for a Node Ryzeal. Node Ryzeal, special summon, and this is the third Xyz summon. We're gonna be reborning the Sword Ryzeal and Baguska instead of Detonator. Now, Baguska is great when you legally cheat. How are you legally cheating in the Worlds? Well, I know what my opponent's playing. What is Miss playing? I guess this would be really good in the mirror match, right? Because making a turn 1 Baguska is not gonna be as effective against a deck like Maliss. It could still be quite decent, but otherwise I would say a Detonator is better. So if this is in fact a Ryzeal mirror match, having that knowledge prior to this duel, this is definitely a massive advantage, setting up a good floodgate specific to what the opponent's playing. Ryzeal Cross, return 2 engrave, draw a card. The Baguska is normally outed by a Little Knight. Little Knight does what? It targets. Well, it's untargetable due to the Star Liege. What about another card like maybe Ragnarok? Even though people are not playing that, you can't even Ragnarok this. It cannot be destroyed by card effect, cannot be targeted by card effects. What if I get rid of it though? Still, I find a way. Well, if we have Ryzeal plugin does not reborn a Ryzeal Xyz. It could be any Xyz. So we could target the Baguska and just reborn it back on the freaking field. 5 cards in hand, missed. Harpy Feather Duster, wipe away the back row. There's no way, okay, he's not calling Harpy Feather Duster. He's got the cross-out designate. An interesting theme I see within the event is with the shared card system, they still ensured it. It seems that all the teams made sure that their Maliss and Ryzeal decks were fully stacked with the best non-engine cards, taking away from the other decks that are not Maliss or Ryzeal. They really wanted to lean into the free win that Maliss or Ryzeal would give them. Triple Tactics Talent, turning that off for the turn, that could be a good idea. Otherwise, banishing a card like Call of the Grave is generally something you'd banish if you didn't have Triple Tactics Talent. Let's follow up with the 7th Ascension. We just lost our monster negate with the field spell being wiped out. We still have Baguska. Any non-link monster will be forced into defense, and it'll be negated if they activate. We're going to be searching our deck, add the X Ryzeal, which the aggregator cannot negate Baguska because it's untargetable. We're in a really bad spot here, and I guess leaning on what I said earlier, we must have known, hey, he's playing Ryzeal, let me summon a Baguska instead of Detonator. Gotcha. Well, I guess Miss is now screwed. Whatever he summons is negated. Now, Detonator, even though it cannot pop a card in the field, it still retains its continuous effect, which is if it were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you could detach material even with Baguska on the field. Oh boy. Baguska has to detach. That's why the card's balanced, right? During every standby phase detach, we're going to be searching with the Duo Drive after putting Baguska in attack position, which now means the Detonator is activatable. Why didn't Detonator activate? If he activated, then everyone would point and laugh because Detonator is now popping himself. This entire field is completely untargetable. Even the Star Liege could not be targeted by card effect. Thus, you don't want to make that misplay at Worlds. Let's summon the X Ryzeal. We could pop the X Ryzeal now with the Detonator if we want to, as the aggregator is attempting to negate the Detonator, wipe away the X Ryzeal as it is still searching our deck. Now, Sword Ryzeal does not care where a Ryzeal monster is, even though we have a Duo Drive in field, we could just special summon it, whether it's on the field or in grave. Normal summon our ice, summon from the deck into a Sword Ryzeal, as we now search for another ice, which could send a card from the hands to the grave to special summon itself onto the field. We have the Light Dragon Ignister, which is negated by the aggregator, so it cannot protect itself, simply wiping it away. 9,500, 11,000 damage, 13,000 damage, lethal damage. Turn 1 Baguska in what we knew would be the mirror match, thus GG no re. It's 4-4. It's down to the final duel. Perelia within the standby phase, a great card against Ryzeal. Now against Maliss, it's just going to affect their normal summon and a March Hare special summon from the hand, at least draw 2. But we're not going to commit to a normal summon yet as we banish a Dormouse from the deck. Dormouse is going to banish from the deck of Chessie. Now setting up a bluffed back row card before activating the Dormouse is a great strategy, whether it is an MTP or not. It gives hesitation to the opponent to use a Veiler or Impermanence as the back row card. If it were MTP, would just dodge it and then you'd look really bad. Ash is going to negate the Chessie Cat. Now, Chessie does not banish his cost. It's part of the effect of banishing and drawing 2. No banish, no draw for you as we further Link in the Splash Mage. This is denying us from going into an Apollo-SA. This tells me we possibly have no further extensions from the hand, or we really don't want to play against Pirellia, right? We don't want to give them free draws just to make an Apollo-SA. Let's just commit to the field with what we have, Reborn the Chessie back, and let's see what we could do off of just this. No draw for you is likely going to be the best play, or if they max see you in your pack, you just go all the way. Let's GWC, banish the Red Ransom, Reborn the Chessie. We don't gain life points here because there's no mouse link. Red Ransom is back, banishing from the deck. Trigger the White Rabbit to summon, and then set from the deck. That set card is going to be our MTP, which we initially potentially bluffed with the other card here. As we now make our Link Decoder, remember we cannot go into an Apollo-SA here. As we make a Heart's Cryptor, non-target banish a card in the field during the opponent's turn. As the Link Decoder reborns back onto the field here, we have the ability to non-target banish a card in the field, plus non-target banish a card in the field, which could be stopped by a potential Ash Blossom. We did use Ash, but maybe we have another one, and we completely denied Pirellia. I am not giving you a single draw whatsoever. This is it. Off the top of the deck, into our fourth card, we have a Maliss Mirror for the final duel. Dormouse is not a trigger effect. The opponent allowed him to enter the open game state to activate this. Now, what were our responses? If we were to banish this, it would just come back. And this is why a deck like Branded is not doing so well, as Dormouse is attempting to banish from the deck, as we have the Wild Malice and Mirror to negate that Dormouse here. This is a reason why you would potentially want to set a bluffed card to maybe have them second guess activating the Mouse and Mirror, negating the Dormouse. Did the Mouse and Mirror get searched for with the Red Ransom? Red Ransom did search for the Mouse and Mirror, so we did have that additional disruption on top of the double non-target banish. So we're using our 1 of 3. Banish thee. No dodge in sight, of course. Now, a good option with the Dormouse is to go into a Lingaribo. Lingaribo will pin down the MTP, forcing the Cryptor to banish away in order to use our MTP. As we, after getting negated, we also are going to be banishing the March Hare, add back to the hand here. Let's see if they're going to make any other plays. They're not letting us up. This is why a lot of people hate Malice. They steal your turn. They make more plays than you do on your own freaking turn, Konami. What is going on? They're not done. Banish the Red Ransom, reborn back after banished. Banish from the deck a Dormouse. Dormouse come back as the Red Ransom triggers to search our deck. We're also chain link blocking our follow-up play. The Dormouse is making it so our monster cannot be destroyed by card effect, as we... That's not a Lingaribo. That's not even plan B. That is plan L for lose. We are now going to lose. This immediately applies the lingering effect. What if it leaves the field? It does not matter. What if it gets negated right now? It does not matter. The lingering effect is applied, and there's no way to get rid of it. And that lingering effect is you cannot summon for the rest of this turn. No normal, no special. You lose the World Championship, very likely. Yeah, I mean, like, oh, maybe there's, no, we're done, right? This is 2,500, it can still non-target banish. We're gonna use the MTP to banish it before it activates. It's not a trigger effect, it's not a quick effect, it has the additional effect of returning a monster back to the hand. Joey, this is a good reason why you don't give them a single draw for Pirellia if you could still set up forms of disruption, or even under the effect of Fool Loss, or maybe even Max C. And how could you give them no draws under Max C and still have disruption? Well, you could possibly have hand traps, right? You never know what's in their hand. Only one card is needed in Yu-Gi-Oh! To do a million things. And if we denied that one card drawn, which we did, Luca ensured nothing was drawn under Pirellia, and he is definitely reaping the rewards for that play. Now, to be fair to Joey, if you go first with Malice, you have an 80% win rate. I'm not making that up. That was the actual win rate for Malice at the World Championship across the board. If they won the coin flip, 80%. And it is still an 80% win rate, even despite there was a Malice player that overall somehow had a total 7% win rate. I'm not trying to call this player out, even though I just called them out. Not by name, though, but we probably will look at their name later. I think they got really unlucky, though, right? If we look, they maybe lost a bunch of coin flips. Why am I not really commentating here? It's obvious what's happening. It's over. It's over. There's enough. They can't surrender. He would have surrendered. Lethal damage, 12,000 damage, and just like that, Luca with Team Ragnarok winning the Malice versus Malice mirror match, the best deck of the format, having to play within the mirror match for duel number 9. Ragnarok is now your world champions. Let's look at the reaction.
A new age in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and that age is led by Team Ragnarok. They are becoming a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! History with this direct attack.
Team Ragnarok is your 2025 WCS World Champion team.
They're in soundproof booths to not cheat.
The best Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel players in the entire world.
And look at Nash storming onto the stage, and he's telling you and everyone at home that this is their title now.
And he's telling you that your faith was placed correctly. His fans, the community,
next year,
they
true.
all
But I have to wear
rallied
disguise.
behind him.
Roberto's
and
gonna win
it
Worlds
was
next year.
So good.
Am I allowed to touch this?
They're ready to lift the trophy. Give it up for your new world champions, Ragnarok!
He knows to hold it from the bottom because everyone has seen endless clips of trophies breaking in their hand. Smart. He's not going to misplay on the world stage.
The opposition on for the celebration.
He really is afraid of that trophy breaking. He is holding up the bottom real strong. Konami quality.
He's my army, man.
So we have a comparison of what Worlds looked like on the, what year? 2017 Worlds? Oh my gosh.
Because I was there in person, I remember it.
Am I on stage here?
Like,
Or no, this is just the champions. Okay, thanks, Gianna.
you're welcome. You're sitting
But
like
I am here. I am here. I'm in the player area. I couldn't sit with Gianna, but like this looks way better. What happened? How did we? Is Konami losing money? They're not making enough money. They can't justify spending this much money anymore. We had the voice actors dueling on stage, Chaiba and Yugi, real voice actors. Yami Yugi, not the smaller Yugi. I don't know who voices that. He is?
yes, he's the same guy.
Yami Yugi is the voice actor for Little Yugi.
Yes.
Damn, that's crazy. And there was dancers, right? There are women that are just like dancing all over the place. Cheerleaders, they're going crazy. And now we have this instead.
One last shout out, I have to do that, I'm sorry. Jesse Cotton and my Memento Ryan Yu and Christian Urena. That guy is the GOAT. Thank you, Christian.
Well, there you go, guys. I'm going to let you have one more chance. I'll take that mic off you.
Wait, this dude wanted to say something and they took his mic. He's like, all right, my turn.
Guys, I'm gonna
I like to thank my mom. I didn't. Okay, we're gonna take your mic. Thank you very much.
I'm
Go
gonna let you
home.
have one more chance. I'll take that mic
We
off
can't
you.
afford to.
We're paying the venue for an hour.
The venue is gonna charge us if this rolls into 1 minute longer. We can't afford that
Come
here.
and raise your trophy one
Yeah,
more time. Give
thanks,
it up
Mom.
for your world champions, Ragnarok!
Ed did him dirty. I mean, there's a producer in his ear saying, wrap this up. Can't afford this. This is 100% usage rate. This is, you're forced to use different decks within your teams. So 100% all 12 teams had Maliss and Ryzeal. Thus, they were the most played deck. Maliss with an 80% win rate when they would go first. Ryzeal with a 71% win rate when going first. You know, a total 50, 55. Like, this makes it look like it's balanced, but how is this balanced? This is disgusting. And then we have some player analytics, which if we want to look at the teams that we just saw, we have in Tatsuku is the Mad Lab that gets first place global every year. Unfortunately, only 38% win rate. I don't know what happened. I have to watch his games. He played Gimmick Puppet and Ryzeal. We had Snipe Hunters here. Where Gabagol, yeah, this is right, Gabagool, the freaking Italian team, yeah. Bernardo Gianfranco. And then I don't think he's Italian. What do we have? Ragnarok. So this was the championship team. Herman with a 52% win rate playing Ryzeal, and his Ryzeal win rate was, okay, this is the coin percentage. His Ryzeal win rate was 56. His Ritual Beast win rate was 33. Don't play that deck ever again. We have Luca with Maliss with a total 73% win rate. That is crazy. He only played one duel with Mermail and he did win. We have Nesh with Memento, 47% win rate, 55 with Memento, 40% with Snake Eye, and then Pac, Joey, and Enzo, the second place team, which we're stopping right here. Joey, the total 68% win rate. Pac, total 36% win rate. Enzo with the 47% win rate. And then if you want to check out the matchup spread, I guess this is kind of cool, where Sprite has a 100% win rate against Maliss. It's probably just one duel. You could look up there to double check. Ritual Beast, the 0% win rate against Maliss. Vanquish Soul, 0% win rate against Maliss. Stun only played 2 duels against Maliss. They won 1, they lost 1. 0% with Branded. Now, if you have Branded on your team, they can't play Gold Sark because the 2 Gold Sarks are designated for the Maliss deck, which my criticism of this event is I think Konami should have a larger shared card pool. Why do we have to arbitrarily restrict a card like Gold Sark from being played in our other decks? Why can we not play Bonfire in our non-Ryzeal decks if we wanted to? By default, a deck like Centurion wouldn't even be able to have this, which is already at a freaking disadvantage. I know Konami wants to force deck diversity, and I do want them to still do that, but while forcing deck diversity, I would prefer that players are still playing and building their decks optimally, still playing around Droll, playing around Imperm. The fact that they know that the opponent likely doesn't even have Imperm, thus they don't have to play around it. They don't have to worry about Nibiru. Are you kidding me? We can't even have Little Knight in every single deck. That is trash. And there you go. So check out the article, what other people think about it. That was the World Championship. Let's go.